Joining me now is Harvey Wasserman. He is a host of California Solartopia. Can you guess which topic that's on? It's on KPFK here in Los Angeles. He's also got a book, Solartopia.
Right.
Harvey, welcome to the Young Turks.
Great to be here.
All right, great to have you, brother. So I want to start by talking about Diablo Canyon.
Sure.
So for folks who are unaware of it, what is it?
It's the 2 nuclear reactors up in San Luis Obispo, surrounded by a dozen earthquake faults, 45 miles from the San Andreas, which is half the distance that Fukushima was from the earthquake fault that destroyed it. And being here in Los Angeles, we are very nervous about these 2 reactors. I was among the 10,000 people arrested there back in the 1980s, and we're fighting to get it shut down. We've asked Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, to inspect this thing. You know, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission does the inspections. That's like having Donald Trump read the Mueller report. I mean, it's just a waste of time. We want independent inspections there. And these 2 reactors, if they blow up, you know, LA is 10 million people. We're toast.
So back when they put the nuclear reactor there, did they know they were so close to the fault lines?
Some, but not as many. If you look down at the earthquake fault lines at Diablo Canyon, it's like shattered glass. I mean, there's like a dozen of them. It's a place that you just don't want to be when there's an earthquake. And these 2 reactors are old, like all the reactors. You know, there's 98 reactors in the United States, nuclear power plants. They are, except for one, they're all more than 20 years old. A lot of them are more than 40 years old. Are you driving a 40-year-old car? I mean, these things are just really, really dangerous, and they got to be shut down. And as I say in Solartopia, we have the big 4 is solar, wind, battery storage, and increased efficiency, or LED. With those 4 horsemen of the apocalypse there, we can get totally green powered.
We could ironically avoid the apocalypse then.
Exactly, they're 4 horsewomen of the anti-apocalypse.
That's right, there you go. So I want to keep talking about the nuclear plant though. So some will say, yes, but it's better than fossil fuels.
No, they're all bad. We got to get rid of all of them. You know, nuclear plants put tremendous amounts of waste heat into the environment. 90 million gallons of hot water at Diablo Canyon. One of the 2 reactors goes into the ocean every day. And they kill all the marine life. They kill the marine ecosystem. It's a disaster. And I got to tell you, you know, they like to say that radiation's good for you. Ann Coulter has actually said radiation is good for you. So
really, Ann Coulter being wrong. That's a first
she's
for everything.
Imaginative. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So I went in 1980 into central Pennsylvania in the year after the accident. Now this is the 40th anniversary this week of the disaster at 3 Mile Island, and I interviewed people, and it was the worst week of my life. It was like being in a Japanese science fiction movie. It was horrible. People with cancer, leukemia, birth defects, metallic taste, hair falling out. I actually held a dog. I was across in Middletown from the plant. I could see the plant. I held a dog, a black cocker spaniel that had born with no eyes. I mean, you know, come on.
So what went wrong in 3 Mile Island?
It's a nuclear power plant. That's what went wrong. I mean, a million things can go wrong with a nuclear power plant. And we have 450 of them worldwide. They are causing global warming. We're in the midst of a tremendous transition in terms of technology. Solar and wind have exceeded expectations, as has battery storage and LED lighting. I mean, LED lighting is just taken over. It's amazing. These 4 technologies are going to supplant all the fossil fuels, all the nuclear power, what I call King Kong: coal, oil, nukes, and gas. They're done. Now, it's a huge transition because fossil and nuclear involve many, many, many billions of dollars, and the industry doesn't want to let go. But the reality is there's more people working in solar in California alone than there are digging coal in the whole United States. I mean, that's how big this industry has gotten.
Coal jobs are down to 53,000, even though Donald Trump said he was going to protect them. So how many?
65.
65,000 people in California alone that work in solar?
Yeah, and another 10 or 15 in wind.
And how many people working in solar in the country? I don't know.
250,000. 250,000.
So 5 times the size of the coal industry.
Yes.
As far as jobs are concerned.
And it's going straight up. I mean, you know, the learning curve on renewables has been spectacular. You know, it's almost science fiction how fast renewables have come on. And the nuclear is the opposite. It's just, it gets more expensive every day. In fact, last week, Trump signed a $3.7 billion no interest loan for the last 2 reactors in the United States being built in Georgia. There's only 2 left. Obama gave them 8.3, so they already got $13 billion in or $12 billion in federal loans. The thing's going to cost close to $30 billion. It'll never go online. It's already can't compete with renewables. What are we waiting for?
So Obama wasn't great on this, was he? I mean,
No.
he did all the above strategy. What do you call it?
That was a punt. You know, all he had to do was say, look, he could have done the Green New Deal. In fact, the stimulus package was kind of a precursor to the Green New Deal. But the Green New Deal, if I presume that it's going to take us to 100% renewables, that's the future. What was wrong with the old New Deal? That was a great success. The Green New Deal is just the update of what Franklin and Eleanor did in the 1930s. And it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
That's where the jobs are.
And that's not an accident. That's why they called it the Green New Deal, right?
Yes, exactly, and they're right, and that's what needs to happen. It will create the jobs, and it will get us not only directly. It creates direct jobs, of course, with solar and wind and all that stuff, but indirectly by lowering energy costs. Germany is going 100% green. Their last nuclear plants will shut in 2022. And they have whole areas of Germany now that are completely on solar, totally.
So the nuclear plants, are they all private? And so I don't know about this.
Yes, they're owned by what we call investor-owned utilities, or IOUs. Tennessee Valley Authority does have, and Bonneville Power Authority has one. But you know, it's basically and that situation has resulted here in California. Pacific Gas and Electric, which runs the two at Diablo Canyon, is bankrupt. And then First Energy in Ohio, which runs two on Lake Erie, they're also bankrupt.
So what happens when a private company running a nuclear facility goes bankrupt? Do they go like, good luck with it?
No, they go to the legislature and they get bailed out. And these guys are making $1 million a year running, $10 million a year running these plants, and they're fools. I mean, they should not. The last thing on earth you want is a bankrupt utility running a nuclear plant.
Harvey, it's almost like they're privatizing the gains and socializing the losses.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's the game. That's the game here in America. We are a socialist country. It's socialism for the rich. The rest of it get to compete. But the guys at the top, if you look at what happened in 2007 and 8 with the big crash, those guys, nobody went to jail, nobody lost their money.
Yeah, you can't walk out of a nuclear facility and go, that's your problem, right? Because
they do.
Because it is our problem. It is our problem. We can't just leave it alone. And so we have to find a way to decommission it, I suppose.
It's a nightmare. It's billions of dollars, and you know we're doing it. We shut their 2 reactors at San Onofre, south of LA. The decommissioning is a disaster. It's a nightmare, and everywhere they don't have the technology, they don't have the money.
And do the companies that made all the profits for all those years then pay for the decommissioning?
Right.
I mean, is that amazing?
The question answers itself.
Right.
You know?
No, they took home all the profits. No, the costs are on us again.
Exactly. And also the liability. In 1957, the feds passed something called the Price-Anderson Act, because none of the private utilities would invest in nuclear because they're afraid of a big disaster. So the Fed said, the Congress said, we'll give you 15 years. And in this 15-year period, if there's a major disaster, the taxpayers will cover it. But by 15 years, you'll have private insurance. Well, guess what? It hasn't happened. That was 1957. We're talking 62 years ago. And there's still nobody who will privately insure a nuclear power plant.
If you can't get insurance for something, there's some chance that it's too risky.
You might say that. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because you guys know how insurance works. They make a profit by selling you insurance.
Right.
But they won't sell it to you if they think, no, I can't make a profit on this. It's just too risky, and it'll cost too much. So when private insurance doesn't do it, it doesn't mean that no one is ever going to pay the cost.
No, we pay the cost.
No, we pay the cost. That's right.
They're indemnified. There's a little bit of fund. There's a $12 billion fund that was put into by all the nuclear utilities. So God forbid if Diablo Canyon blows and the cloud comes to LA and does $3 trillion in damage and kills another 10, 15 million people, that $12 billion is all there is. Everybody else is on their own. That's it.
So can we get folks who want to start nuclear power plants, not that that's likely to happen anymore, but people who run them, et cetera, can we get them to sign agreements saying, hey, if you guys go bankrupt or something goes wrong, an accident, instead of the US government eventually is going to have to cover most of the tab, but first we're going to take every single thing you've ever owned. Okay, for all the executives, who've ever worked here and made a profit, we will take your house, we'll take all your cars.
Right.
Because you got to pay first. You're the ones who got the profits.
Right. And we can drop them off under a bridge here in LA. They'll have a lot of company.
Right.
So, you know, it's obscene. It's really obscene. And you've got people running around saying nuclear is an answer to global warming. It's a cause of global warming. They pour all this hot water and steam into the environment. They stand in the way of renewables. They're sucking up all our money. They're irradiating people nearby. You know, when a nuclear plant opens, hopefully no more will, but when a nuclear plant opens, the infant death rate in the area goes up. And when they close, and there are all of them closing, the infant death rate goes down. Very clear.
So Harvey, one more thing before we got to wrap up. So for Diablo Canyon, what do you want to happen? Can the governor take action? How do we close it down? And then what's the process of closing it down?
Because they're in bankruptcy, and also you'll love this, a PG&E is a federal criminal. They were convicted of crimes in 2010. They blew up a neighborhood in San Bruno by not maintaining their pipes.
Can I just pause there for a second? So that's no wonder they're bankrupt, because Mitt Romney tells me that corporations are people, my friend, and so they must be doing a hard time in a federal penitentiary.
Well, I'm against the death penalty in general, but for corporations, I think we got a case.
Right.
They burned down so much of Northern California. They burned down 12,000 structures. They killed 80 people. They're facing $10 billion in lawsuits. And in 2010, they burned down a neighborhood in San Bruno. They killed 8 people because they didn't maintain their gas lines. How much confidence does that give us for them to run 2 nuclear plants upwind of LA? It's a nightmare. So yes, the governor of California can intervene because they're in bankruptcy and because they're under federal probation. We want those reactors inspected by someone other than the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. And we want the results to be made public. We want public hearings. And they want the CPUC to deny them the money that they need to operate those reactors, because they need to shut. And until they're shut, I won't sleep at night. I have children and grandchildren in this town, and you know it's my duty to protect them. So that's what we're going to do, Cenk. And you know we need people to plug into this. We had a great petition signed, by the way. You'll be glad to know that Mimi Kennedy, Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, Martin Sheen, Eric Roberts, Graham Nash, you know, Francis Fisher, Jody Evans, a tremendous crew signed on to our petition asking the governor to do this. And so you can sign on too. And
well, you got a lot of the friends of the show on that list, so
yes.
God bless. All right, guys. So is there anything that people can they find the petition and sign?
Yes, come to solartopia.org is where I am, and I'm actually going to have a history of the United States up there in a couple of weeks, so you can look at that one too. But solartopia.org is where this resides. Contact me directly, and I'll be glad to help anybody with this.
Yeah, and I have my own proposals. So if you're an executive at one of these energy companies and an accident happens, an accident because of your recklessness, and people die, you should go to prison.
Absolutely.
San Quentin.
Absolutely.
Now people will say, well, no, but I mean, they'd have to be so careful. Exactly. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right.
Because when you're playing with other people's lives, it's easy. When it's your life that might be on the line, all of a sudden you got to be careful.
Exactly.
Right?
And it's not even their money on the line.
Yeah.
Because they're protected by bankruptcy and all this other stuff. We've got to shut these reactors, Cenk. It's the most dangerous thing on the earth today. Is these 450 worldwide, 98 in the United States. We shut them all down, and we'll be much better off.
All right, Harvey Wasserman. Everybody check out Solartopia. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, no problem. The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.